ahead and call this meeting to order if that's okay. And the first part of that would be to announce that this is the Royal Oak City Traffic Committee meeting for September 29th at 7 p.m. And the first item on our agenda is the call to order, which was just done. And I guess we should try to do a roll call here. I can see everybody's name as participants, but can you unmute your mic and introduce yourself? I better start people off so don't do it all at once. Tom Allen, are you on?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you, Tom. Amanda, are you here?
Yep, I'm here.
Great, thanks, Amanda. We got Andrew Kolkowski next.
Yep, I'm here.
Andrew. And Blaine Lander.
I am here.
Hi, Blaine.
Hello.
Mark Steiner.
Yep, I'm here.
Hi, Mark. Steve Purnell.
Present.
Hey, Steve. And who do we have from Royal Oak City? Holly
Yep, Holly Donahue here, city engineer.
and Jennifer.
Yep, Jennifer Caudill, clerk for the engineering division. And I did receive emails from Richard Karlowski and Bellum that they would not be able to attend the meeting tonight. So we've got everybody that we should have.
Great. Moving right on to item 3, the minutes from May 26th. I believe those are attached at the end of our packet. We would be looking for a motion to approve the minutes from that meeting.
So moved.
We have moved by Tom. Is there support?
I'll support. This is
I'll
Amanda.
support.
And Amanda supports. Any comments, corrections, or other words? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to item 4, public comment. We're going to have a replay of a public comment that was recorded at this time. So, Carol, I don't know if you take that over.
Yes, Chairman Godek and members of the traffic committee. We had 4 people call in, and one, as I said, to my line here in the city manager's office, and I will play those for you right now.
Thank you.
My name is Debbie, and I'm reading the community development flyer that went around about the traffic committee meeting tonight. I do have a disabled adult that lives with me that parks on Merrill, and he wanted me to tell you that he is against taking away the no parking sign on the north side of Merrill. It would be very dangerous for him to have. It's already dangerous with people speeding back and forth up and down Merrill, but it would make it even twice as bad if people were able to park on both sides and with the speeding going on there. I know last year they had installed a one-way, which was working wonderfully. So I was surprised to see the request for the removal of no parking and nothing about the one-way on Merrill. So please don't take the no parking sign down. Thank you so much.
My name is Joe Carter, and I'm calling about the Merrill Street parking. On the west side of Coolidge, there are signs and parking on both sides. And why is that? And signs on Webster, but we have no signs. We get trucks and everything coming from coming from Woodward Avenue, all kinds of trucks, box trucks and everything going to Beaumont and Woodward Corners, 125 room hotel is going up. It's going to create more. The mailman even has to park in private driveways sometimes because of the no parking on the north side. Why is that? We also have, we would like you to, if we can't park on the north side, how about parking on the center of Coolidge? If we could get that done. So we need something done. And also we asked for speed bumps and they said they don't do speed bumps, but it's funny, Detroit's putting 5,000 speed bumps in to stop their problem. We need the problem fixed. So thank you, but your blockade did work. So I don't know what we need to do, but we need to get this traffic under control before somebody gets killed out there. Thank you. Bye.
I live on Merrill, and I'm very upset about the possibility of taking away the no parking on the north side of Merrill between Woodward and Coolidge. There's disabled individuals that live on that street, and it would make it 10 times as dangerous as it already is. We enjoyed when they made it a one-way last year as a trial. So please do not take the one-way or the parking on the north side of Merrill away. It will be too dangerous. Plus, that's a snow emergency route for the hospital. I think it would be a bad idea, and there's numerous people that live in my complex that also feel the same. Thank you so much for your consideration and your time.
This is Mary Carr, and I'm calling in for the parking meeting to request that no parking signs be put up on Merrill, or they should be removed from Merrill. We want to start parking on both sides of the street. No right turn from Merrill to Coolidge. Please put that in. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Bald, and I live at 3178 Merrill Avenue, apartment 202, and I would like to object to the idea of adding a additional parking side on the north side of Merrill. I live right along that street, and I do have a child, and the amount of crime that occurs on the other street, I feel like with all the additional parking would cause more crime on the street that I live on, and I'm not okay with that. I feel that if people need to park, then they can park in their assigned parking. And if they do not have parking, then maybe we need to make the street a permit parking street only with individual resident permits. And that is actually all I have to say. Thank you.
That concludes the public comment that was called in this evening. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Carol. It looks like that there was 4+1 on that. And it was all about Merrill and the no parking, so that was good. Moving on the agenda, I don't see any rescheduled items, so I'll just climb right into 6A. Request to install no trucks and no through traffic signs on Oakmont Street between Hawthorne Avenue and Forest Avenue. Holly?
Thanks. So we received a request from Don Hart, who resides on Forest Avenue, to install no trucks and no through traffic signs on Oakmont. This is between Hawthorne and Forest. She's saying that cars and especially delivery trucks use this road as a cut through, causing it to deteriorate prematurely and be filled with potholes. This makes it difficult to navigate the road to her garage, with the road being in terrible condition. So we took a look at this. Oakmont is a local road. Can you hear me okay? I just realized I didn't have my mic close to me. Sorry about that.
That's better now. You were a little quiet.
Yeah, it's all the way on the other side of my desk. All right. So starting with the staff analysis here for Oakmont. It is a local road, and it is an unimproved gravel roadway, about 25 feet wide. The right-of-way is exactly 25 feet wide, and the gravel itself it varies between 20 to 25 feet for the drive lane. 3-year accident history from 2017 through 2019 shows no accidents on Oakmont. We did request traffic measurements from the TIA, and those are shown on the table here, with the 85th percentile speed being 15 miles per hour, 61 vehicles per day, and a heavy vehicle count of 3. The 85th percentile speed is within the acceptable range for a 25 mile per hour street, and the volume of traffic is at the extreme low end for a residential street. We would consider 0 to 600 vehicles per day to be low. Per the TIA, acceptable standards for heavy truck traffic on local streets are typically between 5 and 10 trucks per day. Based on the measured data, there doesn't appear to be a significant volume or heavy traffic issue on the street. And so staff recommendation was to deny the request for additional signs for no through traffic and for no trucks on Oakmont. And I believe we did have Mr. Bartakian wanted to speak on this issue, so he may be on the call here.
Is there someone on the call that wants to speak on this issue?
The petitioner is not in the waiting room.
Okay, we'll move on then, and thank you, Holly, for that explanation. And staff recommendation was to deny the request for no through traffic and no trucks. Looking for more discussion or a motion on this?
This is Amanda. I would go ahead to move to adopt the staff recommendation.
We have a motion, is there support?
Andrew will support that motion.
We have a motion and support. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll go ahead.
Yeah, I'm wondering why just not install no trucks?
Why they're asking for it?
Why not install just no trucks?
I guess my opinion would be it's very short gravel street where some UPS or box trucks occasionally go through to the next street. I would consider that normal for us living on our streets here in Royal Oak. With all the internet purchases going on, there's a lot more deliveries, and you're going to have a box truck go down your street once in a while. So I wouldn't think that would be necessary to limit. Anybody else? We have a motion to support, a motion and support to staff recommendation to deny the request for no through traffic and no truck signs. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed?
No.
And one no and many ayes. So motion carries. Moving right on, 6B, request to remove stop signs on Leafdale Boulevard at Parmenter Boulevard. Holly?
Yes, we received a request from Giles Testy of International Manufacturing and Assembling on Torquay to remove the stop signs on Leafdale Boulevard at Parmenter. States that the intersection is currently a 4-way stop, and that seems unnecessary due to the dead end of Parmenter shortly to the east of the intersection and the minimal traffic on Parmenter Boulevard. He states the existing stop signs on Parmenter should provide sufficient traffic control and the 4-way stop is unwarranted. So looking at this, Leafdale is a 41-foot wide local road and Parmenter is 36-foot wide local road also. Both roads consist of concrete pavement with integral curbs. Leafdale, it's about 0.3 miles from 14 Mile Road down to Torquay, and there's an existing stop sign located approximately halfway, and that's the one that we're discussing here at Parmenter. Parmenter has bollards installed approximately 140 feet east of Leafdale, and that creates a dead-end barrier so that people aren't getting into the neighborhoods further to the east. The 3-year accident reports show that there were no accidents at the intersection, and we requested traffic counts from the TIA measured in July, and for this type of analysis, we measure each leg of the intersection to see where the traffic is coming and going from. So I have the data here in the table. Hopefully everyone has access to that. If not, let me know, I can share my screen. But all legs of the intersection are generally at the low end of traffic counts for a local street. To the north, to the west, and the south, legs of the intersection, they have fairly similar traffic volumes. And as expected, the east leg has a very low volume because it's a dead end with one driveway on it. Based on the Michigan manual, the intersection does not meet the recommended criteria for a multi-way stop. However, the cited accident history that we use to determine that is based on the 4-way stop configuration and doesn't necessarily indicate that removal of the stop signs for Leafdale would result in that same accident history of no accidents. Removal of the stop signs requires drivers familiar with the area to adapt to the changes. For example, drivers on Parmenter might expect traffic on Leafdale to stop at the intersection and result in an accident when they did not stop. Stop signs on Leafdale, they're currently spaced about 900 feet apart. They do not appear to cause any significant delay or hardship for drivers. Because there are similar volumes of traffic on the 3 approaches to that intersection, keeping the stop signs in place appears to be the safest recommendation here, and that's what, as a staff, we ultimately agreed on. So our recommendation is to deny the request and to maintain the existing 4-way stops at the intersection of Leafdale and Parmenter.
Thank you, Holly. Any questions or comments or a motion on this item?
I'll move to adopt the staff recommendation on this one.
We have a motion to adopt staff recommendation to leave the stop signs as is. Is there support?
This is Amanda. I'll support it.
We have a motion and support. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Moving right along, 6C, request to install stop signs on Chambers Street at Curry Avenue.
Yes, this is a request that we received from, I'm not going to try to say his last name, Joseph L., who resides on Frederick Street, to install stop signs on Chambers Street at Curry Avenue to make this a 4-way stop. He says the lack of stop signs on the less trafficked cross street, Chambers, is not intuitive and leads to many near-miss accidents. He also states that the intersection is set up to favor walking children, but Whittier Elementary no longer exists in the neighborhood. So Chambers is a 27-foot wide local road consisting of concrete pavement with integral curbs, and Curry Avenue is 27-foot wide local road, and that has composite pavement with concrete curb and gutter. We requested traffic counts from the TIA for the 4 different legs of that intersection, and we received those in August. Those are shown in the table here, and there's also a picture or a diagram of the surrounding area that we're looking at here on the following page of the packet. The 3-year accident report showed that there was 1 accident on Chambers, 150 feet west of the intersection, and that involved a side swipe incident, so it doesn't seem to be relevant to this particular request. Based on the Michigan Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, the intersection does not meet the recommended criteria for a multi-way stop. And I decided, since we don't often go over this, to list what these different warrants are for installing a 4-way stop. So we would expect to see 5 or more crashes in a 12-month period. The vehicle volumes from the major street is around 300 vehicles per hour for any 8 hours. Vehicle, pedestrian, and bike volumes from the minor approach is around 200 units per hour for that same 8 hours. Very high pedestrian volumes or if there were sight distance issues. So none of those really seem to be the case for this intersection. So the data and analysis do not suggest that a four-way stop is warranted here, and staff is recommending to deny the request for additional stop signs at the intersection of Curry and Chambers. And again, I think we did have the gentleman on the phone potentially, if he wishes to speak.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay. Thank you for having me. It's the intersection at Chambers. It's usually surrounded by cars parked on either side of the street of Chambers at Curry. So when you approach Chambers at the major road, Curry, it's very hard to see any cars coming, even if you are stopped and trying to yield. And like I said, it is very low traffic volume on on Chambers. So you almost never see a car cross there, except for the rare time that you do. And then a car just shoots through. And even if you are yielding and stopped, you may not see them. So it's dangerous because of that rare occasion. And it's dangerous because the number of cars parked on either side of Curry that blocks view of what cars may be approaching that intersection. Like I said, it's a very non-intuitive intersection, and any other road that crosses Curry already has a stop sign. Like Frederick has a stop sign, which I live on, and I think the other two streets that are on there. So that's why I'm offering it, because it seems like it would be more intuitive and more in keeping with the other streets. Thank you.
Thanks for your comment, Joe, and calling in. We're going to try to talk about this and vote on it here shortly. But one of the things I forgot to do at our beginning is to let people know that these items are going to come in front of the City Commission at some point. And no matter how we decide, if you feel strongly enough, you're certainly encouraged to attend the City Commission Zoom meeting and speak during their public comment on it as well. And I'll check back with Holly on when that City Commission meeting might be. But getting back to the request for 4 stop signs on Curry at Chambers, looking for comments, questions, or a motion.
I have a comment. So I'm Amanda. I didn't make this motion, obviously, we heard from the petitioner, but I live on Chambers, about 4 houses down from this intersection. And I saw TIA when they were here doing their counts. So I've lived on this, using that particular intersection, twice a day for 9.5 years. And I agree that it is a little unusual to not have a 4-way stop there. And I also agree that if you're driving north on Curry, if you come off 11 Mile and you sit at that stop sign, you really can't see to your right traffic that's moving on Chambers. Parking is allowed all the way up to that corner edge. And it is actually very hard to see. I've never come close to having an accident because Chambers just isn't that traffic of a street. But I would agree with what the petitioner pointed out, that you do feel like sometimes you're taking your life in your hands because you can't see cars blasting down that road, and because there's parking on each side, it really is kind of like a one way, and cars do move quickly through that intersection. But with that being said, I don't feel strongly about putting in a stop sign, especially if it doesn't meet the warrants. I, in general, tend to vote with keeping uniformity throughout the city. And so if the warrants don't support it, then I wouldn't support the stop sign. But, I do understand why the petitioner brought this request. And like I said, it is a little unnerving sometimes to move through that intersection because there isn't good sightage on Chambers.
Thank you, Amanda. Holly, isn't one of the warrants site distance issue?
Yeah, I did want to talk about that after hearing both the petitioner and Amanda speak on that. When I looked at this, I didn't notice that cars were really parking right there by the stop signs. But that, coupled with the fence that's right on the corner of that intersection, if you were trying to look right and see traffic coming from heading westbound basically towards you, it might be a little difficult to do that without, inching ahead. So this could potentially meet that warrant. I don't want to say for sure without actually doing measurements and I guess plotting it out. But you know, having two people here that live there every day and can testify that that site is a difficulty there, I wouldn't be adamantly opposed to saying a four-way stop could work here.
Great, thank you, Alan. I'm hoping it moves in a direction. I think it might be. I'm still looking for more comments or a motion.
Holly, were you thinking then that you might be interested in additional measurements, or what were you thinking?
I can do that if that's what the committee prefers. I also I could see a situation where you recommend a four-way stop, and I wouldn't necessarily oppose that.
We move to table it.
We certainly could. I actually was hoping to get, I can't make motions, but if I could, I would make one to put a four-way stop in here. If there's, but that's just my thought on it, that someone that's lived there for a long time that's on the traffic committee thinks it might be a good idea. I would defer to that, but that's just me.
Well, being that person, like I said, I've lived with it for a long time, so I don't feel especially strongly, but I do believe that it would feel safer moving through that intersection, if nothing else, because you truly don't have a good line of sight moving north on Curry. So I'll move to install a four-way stop at Curry and Chambers.
We have a motion. Is there support?
In keeping with the trend here, this is Andrew, and I'll support Amanda's motion as we go back and forth.
Great. Thank you, Andrew. We have a motion and support. Any further discussion on this one? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
We have one no and the remainder aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to 6D, request to establish permanent parking.
Oh, your hair is beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh, Jen, could you mute your mic? Got the vacuum in the background.
Okay, sorry. 6D, request
6D,
to establish permanent parking zone on south side of Nakota between Woodward and Cooper. Holly?
Yes, we received a request from Mary Beth Harrison, who resides on Cooper, to establish a permanent parking zone on the south side of Nakota between Woodward and Cooper Avenue. She's dealing with Woodward Avenue business patrons and employees, as well as Dream Cruise attendees parking in her driveway and using all the on-street parking adjacent to her home. Reviewing this, Nakota is a 31-foot wide major road consisting of concrete pavement with integral curb and gutter. 4261 Cooper Avenue, which is the requesters.
My screen froze and I can't hear you. Is everybody else okay?
I can't hear her either.
Yeah,
Yeah, it froze on my end as well.
it looks like Jennifer may be frozen too.
I'll try to call her desk one moment.
Okay.
Well, the phone was acting very oddly. It showed it was dialing Holly's extension, but I had no ringing or dial tone. There, she's back now. Yay.
Came into the office so I wouldn't lose internet, and I lost internet here. Go figure.
And Jen popped off about the same time there she is. She's back now too. Okay, good. All right. I was actually in the midst of trying to call you, so there was some sort of definite.
Phone is totally dead, so something happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so continuing on here, sorry for the interruption. I was just getting to the last point of this, which is to say that the other property adjacent on the opposite side of the road, which is 4303 Cooper, they still have the same permit parking signage in place for 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's been in effect for quite a while now. And so maintaining the same time limitations is recommended for the location. Reinstallation of the sign is not expected to affect any other neighbors, as this is the only remaining part of that block that does not have permit parking. So suggested staff recommendation is to approve the request to install permit parking only, $50 fine, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. signage on Nakota Road adjacent to 4261 Cooper Avenue for estimated cost of $300. And we, I believe, may have Mary Beth Harrison on the call to speak on this.
She is not on the call, and after sending out the invitation earlier today, I subsequently emailed her a few minutes ago letting her know her item was coming up soon, but she is still not on the call.
Okay.
Maybe it was the interruption. I got kind of confused. Is this only for one particular property?
That's correct. Originally, this was like a permit parking zone that had 2 properties in the zone. It's very small. Half of that zone got taken away by request in 2007, and now she basically just wants to reinstate what was there originally.
In front of her house?
In front of her house, yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Since there's not a lot of other, it's kind of some of the criteria that we use for permanent parking, you know, is like you had to have a certain percentage and so on and so forth, but you've got one of one. I just didn't, is this being done because there's the proximity to Woodward?
Right. Yeah, I think that's the main issue is that employees and patrons are parking on Nakota, taking up some of her spots. Well, they're not her spots, but taking up spots adjacent to her property.
Okay, thanks. Looking for other comments or motion on this? I want to start hearing.
This is
from,
Mark.
the new members too. These guys that just joined in the last couple meetings. We're going to start keeping count of how often you do or don't participate. But go on. I think that was Tom starting out.
Yeah, this is Mark. I'll move to adopt the staff recommendation.
Hey, Mark. Thank you. We have a motion to support staff recommendation on permit parking. Is there support?
I'll support it. It's Amanda.
We have a motion to support. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thanks, Mark. 6E, request to install no through traffic signs and speed bumps on West 9th Street between Woodward and Lafayette. Holly?
We received a request from Kelsey Fox, who resides on West 9th Street, to install no through traffic signs and speed bumps on the street between Woodward and South Lafayette. She states that vehicles are speeding excessively down the street, coming and going from the downtown, and there's also been an incident of a driver crashing into a parked car. There's 14 children on the block, and she's concerned for their safety and also for the other residents. Reviewing this request, we noted that West 9th Street is a 27-foot wide local road consisting of composite pavement with concrete curb and gutter. It's approximately 1,000 feet long between Woodward and Lafayette, and there's stop signs for east-west traffic at Lafayette. The 3-year accident report showed one accident that occurred 152 feet west of Lafayette, where a westbound vehicle hit a car at 2 a.m. on a snowy roadway. The city recently resurfaced Lincoln from Woodward to Lafayette, which may have temporarily increased cut-through traffic on West 9th Street. And so we made sure to wait until construction was complete before taking the traffic measurements for this request, just to ensure that the data is representative of typical conditions out there. So the data that we received was obtained on August 27th, and the 85th percentile speed was 21 miles per hour. The vehicle count per day was 299 vehicles, with heavy vehicle count of one large truck, so 0.6%. So the 85th percentile speed is well below the speed limit for the street, and even the 95th percentile speed of 23 miles per hour was well below the speed limit. The volume of traffic is in the low range for a residential street. Typically 0 to 600 vehicles per day is considered low for residential. The Citizens Traffic Committee has studied West 9th Street several times in the past, 1999 and 2003, and also in 2004. Each study resulted in low traffic volumes and acceptable speeds. The Traffic Committee denied requests to close off the roadway at Woodward and the no through traffic signs, and each time this has been brought up to the committee. So based on the measured data, there does not appear to be a need for additional traffic controls on the street, and staff's recommendation is to deny the request to install additional no through traffic signs and speed bumps on West 9th. And I believe we have Ms. Fox was planning to call in for this item. I'm not sure if she's here or not.
Is there someone here to speak on this item from public?
She is not in the waiting room.
Okay, thank you, Carol.
Being suitably chastened, I'll move to accept the recommendation.
That's excellent. Good to hear from you. We have a motion to support city recommendation on this item. Is there support?
This is Andrew.
This is Mark. Okay.
We got, looks like Andrew jumped in there, so we got support from Andrew on this. Is that correct? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes, I'll support.
No problem. We have a motion and support. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. 6F, request to install speed bumps on Royal Avenue between Main Street and Crooks Road. Holly? We didn't lose Holly again, did we?
She's on mute, it looks like.
Oh.
I hate when I do that. I'm very sorry. I should know better by now. We received a request from Elizabeth Riggin, who resides on Royal Avenue, to install speed bumps on Royal between North Main Street and Crooks Road. And so that's 4 blocks long of Royal Avenue. She states in the year that she lived on Royal that she's seen cars, large trucks, and delivery vehicles speeding down the street at alarming rate. States that many residents have children, are walking pets, or spending time outside, and she's concerned for the neighborhood safety. And so reviewing this, Royal is a 27-foot wide local road with concrete pavement and integral curbing from Crooks to Murray. And then from Murray to North Main Street, it's a 27-foot wide pavement, composite pavement with curb and gutter. Royal Avenue is about 0.9 miles long between Crooks and North Main Street, and there are 181 residential properties that front on Royal Avenue. There's one set of stop signs for the east-west traffic at Murray, and that's approximately halfway between those 2 major roadways of Main and Crooks. The 3-year accident report showed 2 accidents on Royal. One involved a speeding vehicle losing control, and another involved a car backing out of a driveway. Requested the traffic measurements from TIA, which were measured on July 15th, and these were taken about 250 feet west of Columbus Avenue, just to give an idea that we're trying to get the most representative location there for traffic counts. So the 85th percentile speed was 27 miles per hour. We had 486 vehicles per day, and heavy vehicles count was 10, which represents 1% of the traffic for the measured time period. So the 85th percentile speed, it's within the acceptable range for a 25 mile per hour street. The volume of traffic is still within that low end for residential of 0 to 600 vehicles per day. The measured data shows only 1% of the measured traffic was from heavy vehicles, and this is considered very low for a residential street. Based on the traffic data, no changes are recommended here, and so we recommend denial of the request for speed bumps on Royal Avenue.
Great, thank you, Holly. I assume there's no one in the waiting room to speak on this. So we'll go ahead. Anybody like to make a motion or discuss further?
This is Mark. I'll make a motion to adopt the staff recommendation.
We have a motion to adopt staff recommendation. Is there support?
Second.
I'll support.
We have support by Tom. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the staff recommendation passes.
Chairperson Godek,
Yes.
we did get a message from Carol that Mary Beth Harrison, the petitioner for item 6D, just did log on to the call, and she wanted to see if you wanted to give her the opportunity to speak, even though we already voted on it. Oh, now I've just been told she's logged back out, so maybe not. Can Carol confirm?
Yes, that's true. She indicated she was watching it on the live stream, but couldn't get into the waiting room. But she was not in the waiting room at any time until after her item was called. So I'm wondering if maybe petitioners are experiencing a little delay or something, as Holly and Jennifer had technical issues too.
Well, we did support in favor of what she wanted, so she should.
I will let her know. She did ask me that.
Yeah. So that should be good, and she should watch some other TV. Sorry, I lost my spot. I think you're on 6G, request to evaluate Benjamin Avenue between 13 and Normandy for speeding and traffic volume. Holly?
Yes, we received a request from a resident on Star Road to review speeding concerns on Benjamin Avenue between 13 Mile and Normandy. She states increased cut-through traffic has occurred due to the Normandy Oaks development and has witnessed multiple vehicles traveling over 40 miles per hour, causing safety concerns for herself and her neighbors. She believes that higher speeds are occurring due to the limited police presence, and she's been a resident at the premise for over 20 years and feels the roadway was patrolled more in the past. And that lack of traffic control or traffic calming devices like stop signs, radar boards, or speed bumps are causing the issues that she's bringing forward. So reviewing this, Benjamin Avenue is a 37-foot wide major road, and it consists of concrete pavement with integral curb. Benjamin is signed for 25 miles per hour. There's signs at 13 Mile Road, and there's another sign at Normandy Road. Parking is allowed on both the east and the west sides of the street. Traffic light exists at 13 Mile Road, and then we have a stop sign at the Normandy Road intersection at the other end. The distance from 13 Mile to Normandy is about half a mile. We requested traffic measurements from the TIA, and those are presented here in the table. We took it at two locations, south of the railroad viaduct and then also north of the railroad viaduct. So looking at the numbers here, the traffic volumes of a little over 2,000 vehicles per day for both locations. That's considered low for a major road like Benjamin. 1,800 to almost 2,900 vehicles per day is considered low for major roads. The 85th percentile speeds, however, did exceed the threshold for a 25 mile per hour road. We'd like to see it up at 27 miles per hour maximum, and we had 29 miles per hour and 28 miles per hour measured as the 85th percentile. Increasing the speed to 30 miles per hour could be a consideration here. I don't think that's what anyone is asking for, however. Because there are residential properties and there's multiple access points on the street, maintaining a 25 mile per hour speed limit is preferable. And this would likely be validated with a full engineering study that considers the access points, the steep road profile near the railroad. As it is a major road, installation of speed limit signs would be consistent with past practice. There's only the 2 speed limit signs placed at the boundaries of the study area. And we also noticed that for the northbound traffic at 13 Mile, that speed limit sign is near trees and somewhat obstructed in the green belt. Installing speed bumps is not recommended especially for major roads. Benjamin Avenue was reconstructed in 2019 from 13 Mile Road to north of the railroad viaduct. And the remaining northern segment of Benjamin is scheduled for concrete patching improvements in 2024. So one option might be for staff to evaluate if traffic calming islands or other measures could be installed as part of those road improvements down the line. But for now, staff is recommending to install 2 speed limit signs on Benjamin Avenue on either side of the railroad viaduct, to direct DPS to trim the branches that are obstructing the existing speed limit sign on Benjamin near 13 Mile, and also to consider traffic calming installations when we get to the 2024 roadwork project. And that was an estimated cost of $500 for the signs.
Great, thank you, Holly. Looking for a motion or more discussion?
I'll motion to approve.
We have a motion, I'm sorry, to approve staff recommendation. Is there support?
This is Mark. I'll support.
We have a motion to approve and support for staff recommendation to install 2 speed limit signs. And the rest of it, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving right along. Then we have a long agenda tonight, so I'm kind of pushing things a little. 6H, request to install speed bumps for supplemental signage on Kenwood Avenue between East 4th and East 6th Street. Holly?
Yes, we received a request from Denise Wiles, who resides on South Kenwood Avenue, to install traffic control countermeasures on the block of Kenwood between 6th Street and 4th Street. She states that traffic volumes have increased in recent memory and many vehicles are speeding through the roadway segment. She says that several children live on the block and she's concerned for their welfare from the traffic. She's requesting either installing speed limit signs, children at play signs, or speed bump. So staff took a look at this. Kenwood is a 27-foot wide local road with concrete pavement and integral curbing. It currently has stop signs at the East 6th Street and also at the East 4th Street intersections. The 3-year accident report history only noted 1 incident where a vehicle had sideswiped a parked car. We requested traffic measurements from the TIA for speed and volume, and those are measured on July 30th. So between 6th and 4th Street, the 85th percentile speed was measured to be 24 miles per hour, and we counted 433 vehicles per day. So the 85th percentile speed is within the acceptable range for a 25 mile per hour street, and the volume of traffic is in the low range for a residential street, 0 to 600 vehicles per day. So based on the data collected, there doesn't appear to be a speeding or volume issue on the block, and so no changes were recommended by staff. And so we are recommending denial of the request for additional traffic control on South Kenwood Avenue. And I believe Ms. Wiles is on the call.
Great, thank you, Holly. Is someone online here to speak on this issue?
Hi, yes, I'm Denise Wiles. I hope you can hear me. My connection's not great. I appreciate you doing the survey for us. I did hear your report, so I do appreciate that. And we'll just be diligent on our end to help keep everybody safe. So thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining in your comments. Bringing it back to the committee side, looking for more discussion or motion?
Holly, I just had a question out of curiosity. The request to install a children at play sign, is that something that is ever done?
I've never done it, although I've only been here since 2014. I'm not really sure what the warrants are for putting up a child at play sign.
Mhm.
Steve, I don't know if you've ever come across that just looking through the Michigan manual. But I sense it's probably something that doesn't have warrants, like it's just recommended to install, and it's an option if a community wants to do that. I would hesitate because what street doesn't have children on it in this city? Probably not a whole lot of them. So
Sure. Yeah, I was just curious. I've been on the committee 4 years maybe, and I don't recall too many requests for that specific kind of sign. So it's just curious if they ever, were something the city used. I've not seen it in 4 years, but I've not seen everything. So
yeah, I've seen some very, very old ones throughout town, just driving along, but nothing in recent memory, and certainly not a sign that looks new has been installed.
right.
Any other discussion or motion?
Well, with that, since my mic is still on, I'll move to adopt the staff recommendation.
We have a motion to move staff recommendation. Is there support?
I'll support it.
We have a motion and support. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We're on to, I think, 6I now. Sorry, request to install signal right turn arrow globe for southbound South Campbell at East 4th Street. Holly?
Yes, we received a request from John Humphrey, who resides on Cherokee Avenue, to make traffic light modifications on South Campbell at East 4th. With the new road diet south of East 4th Street, the requester observed that drivers ignore the existing merge signing and striping and continue straight through the intersection, causing a potential for accidents. He's pursuing the possibility of changing the traffic signal from a solid green to a green right arrow, or adding flashing beacons to the lane drop signage to better alert drivers about the merge. South Campbell Road is a 40-foot wide major road with composite pavement and concrete curb and gutter. It's striped as 4 10-foot lanes. So we have 2 lanes in each direction north of East 4th Street. And then south of East 4th Street, it is a 3-lane road. So there's a center turn lane, 2 through lanes, 1 in each direction, and then the 2 5-foot wide bike lanes on the outside edges of the road. So the 3-year accident history was received from the TIA. The accident analysis was only reviewed, however, during the time frame when the road diet was actually in place, which isn't a whole lot of time. That's only October of 2018 to December 2019 that we could really look at the data. During that time, there were 3 accidents for southbound traffic. 2 were caused by driver error in relation to East 4th Street traffic, and 1 was a rear end accident occurring south of this location. What we thought we might see were some side swipe accidents indicating that the merge was an issue. We did not see any of those, but again, this is a shorter study period. There is currently 4 right turn arrows painted in the turn lane, and there's also signage that defines each lane's purpose. And I put a street view image in here just to kind of show what we have in place right at the intersection. In addition to those road markings and the lane signs, we also have a merge sign about 570 feet north of here, advising drivers to merge into a single lane. And then there's also another right lane end sign up at 11 Mile Road, which is about 940 feet north of this intersection. So we looked at what we could do with the traffic signal globes. If we did want to add a right turn arrow here, we'd actually still have to have a through green, solid green globe as well. The idea being, like, if one of the green globes ever went out, we always have a backup. So we always need to have 2 lights for through traffic. So my thought is, if we try and install this at this location, we might confuse drivers even more, thinking that it's a through or a right turn lane. Based on the accident history, there does not appear to be an obvious need for changes to the traffic control on southbound Campbell. However, additional
We have a problem.
Yeah, we got that freeze again. Did we lose both Jennifer and Holly?
It appears so. Something going on at City Hall, maybe.
Yeah. Carol, are you gonna try
I'm
calling?
getting the same thing when I try to call Holly again. It's just so our phones are hooked to our computers, so I think that's what's causing it. They're both in the same area of the new city hall, and there goes Holly off. She's probably gonna log up and log back on.
Oh, they're in the new building?
Yeah, we're all in the new building.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm upstairs, so I'm in a different part. I don't know if that makes a difference, but not good.
She's back.
I'm back.
Yep.
Very sorry. And I was just getting to the punchline here. Dang.
Before can I just clear up one point of one business before we get back in the flow? There is a Dawn Hart in the waiting room. Do we know what item? She wasn't on my list that Jennifer provided me.
I believe she was item 6A. Her husband had said he would join.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, she is in the waiting room, so.
If she wants to speak for a minute, that's fine. You can let her in.
Okay.
Save your spot, Holly.
Okay.
Sorry, we were already interrupted.
No problem. Is there someone on the call that wants to speak about item 6A? Hello, anybody there?
Hello?
Yes. Do you want to speak about item 6A? We kind of passed by it, but we're, because of the strange nature of these kind of meetings, we're open to listen to your comments.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, my name is Dr. Bartakian. I'm on another conference for 3 hours with Medicare and Medicaid services. So sorry I had trouble getting the password and logged in. 6A, I'm guessing, is the traffic survey that was done off of our property.
That's correct.
Thank you. Yes, we moved here last year to Michigan and loving it here. Thank you. We've had this issue though with this section of unpaved road that is adjacent to our side. And we've been trying to investigate anything we could do to try to expedite maybe getting that moving forward with paving potentially. But in the meantime, the complaints that we're having are, the dust that is created by the traffic on that road is just unbearable. We've already painted the side of our house once since we moved in this year, and power washed it twice. The amount of dirt that collects is so much. A lot of it is from large vehicles, FedEx, UPS. It seems everybody thinks when they turn down that road, it's some sort of off-roading capability, and they floor it and try to go as fast as they can even. So one of the thoughts was if we could at least have that road closed. We're looking for any other options that somebody could recommend. Closing it to truck use, limiting it to individuals that live on that street or have access to something to minimize, or even slowing down the speed limit to 5 or 10 miles an hour. I'm not sure if that would make anybody actually slow down, but it might help.
Oh, we appreciate your comments. Unfortunately, we did discuss this item and look at some data on what we saw. We voted to deny your request. That certainly doesn't stop you from going to the city commission meeting when this comes up. Holly, you don't know when that's going to be, do you?
Yeah, I'm planning to bring these items to the October 12th commission meeting.
Okay, so October 12th, these items go in front of the city commission meeting. and regardless of how we vote, you are encouraged to attend that meeting and speak during public comment and let your concerns be known. But our recommendation at this time was to deny your request.
And
So we
specifically
appreciate
the
your
request to
comments.
limit the traffic to large trucks to not be able to use it?
Yeah, we denied both requests for no through traffic and no trucks. But feel free to go in front of the city commission and voice your opinion on why you think it should be done. And good luck with that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining.
Have a good evening.
You too. I'm sorry, Holly. I'm not sure where you left off. I think you're on 6I.
Yes, so 6I, quick summary. This is South Campbell Road at 4th Street. Looking at accident histories, there's no obvious pattern here that there is an issue, but we've certainly heard enough complaints just anecdotally about how confusing that area can be. Whether it's something people will just learn over time because it's a new road diet, or if it's something that really is confusing all the time. We didn't feel it was a very large investment to put some additional striping out there and one more sign just to help clearly define that there is a lane drop there, that you need to turn right if you're in that lane. And so Mr. Purnell put together the layout that we have shown here in the packet. And so staff is recommending that we install an additional, it's called an R3 8TR sign to demonstrate the through lane and the right turn lane, and also skipped pavement markings for South Campbell Road, north of East 4th Street, between the through and turn lane as shown on the provided exhibit. Oh, and I believe Jennifer has a public comment to read from the requester.
Yes, I do. He was unable to attend the meeting for his work schedule, so I'm just going to read his email aloud to the committee. He says, the Google photo display within the item of 6I does not reflect the current configuration. I'm not sure which picture he's talking about exactly, because since we had two, but he said he is in favor of the suggested staff recommendation. And it was always his intention to be proactive rather than reactive, and he thanks the committee for their time and consideration of this matter.
Great. Thank you, Jennifer. It looks like this is heading in improvement. I drive this section quite a while, and some people do not obey and try to race through the intersection and merge at that time. But I think the skip pavement markings are a good idea, but I'm not familiar with what's the R3 8TR sign.
Yeah, so if you look at the image above in the right up there, it's the white sign that has a through arrow and then a right turn arrow.
Okay.
And the words only, so you know which lane does what.
And that's not in there right now?
There's one right at the intersection.
Okay.
This one would be much further, not much further, but further to the north. So you have a little more time to understand what changes you need to make if you're switching lanes.
I understand. Thank you. Great. Looking for a motion or more discussion on this?
Yeah, I would just say before anyone makes a motion that the work that you guys did in this area, it looks really well done. So it doesn't seem to me that it's any failure in how it was designed or the signage. It just seems like there's some really rude drivers out there just doing whatever they want. But I can appreciate you, recommending to put in a sign to make it even, people notified even earlier that it's a right turn only lane. That's all.
That's a good point.
All right, this is Andrew. I'll move to adopt the staff recommendation.
Great, thank you, Andrew. We have a motion to move staff recommendation. Is there support?
Support.
We have support by Tom. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, we have unanimous on 6I. 6J, onto our final item. Request to remove no parking signs on the north side of Merrill Avenue between Coolidge and Woodward. Holly? Are you on mute, Holly?
Looks like we lost her again.
She's frozen again, man.
Wow.
This new building is really selling itself well.
I know.
Is there something with her router? Because this seems like a router issue.
Holly and I are both at City Hall right now, if you guys can hear me still.
Yep.
As am I.
I disconnected for a moment, but it seems like I'm back.
I'm glad to have you.
Holly should reconnect momentarily too then, because she's about 50 feet away from me.
Here, can you not hear me?
Yep.
So I didn't hear, are we moving on to item 6J?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't hear the vote. I'm sorry, I got disconnected. Was it unanimous?
Yeah, we had 6 I was unanimous to accept
Okay.
staff.
Thank you. And thank you all for your patience with our technology here at City Hall.
Carol just let me know that we have Elizabeth Riggin, who was the requester from item 6F in the meeting room, if we'd like to give her a chance to speak before we move on to the next item.
Sure. Be consistent.
Hi, everyone. I've never done this before. I wasn't sure if I was in the right spot, and yeah. So, and if I missed the point that I brought up, so it sounds like I missed it. But thank you for being willing to revisit that for me. I live on Royal Avenue, right out front, and that's the question I had raised concern about people flying down this pretty residential street all the time. So I've lived here just about a year, so I was just curious as to whether this has been raised before. I think someone brought up a minute ago that there's just a lot of rude drivers in general now, and I think that's the case. Everyone's in a hurry. So, but yeah, I would love to hear whatever thoughts were discussed prior to my joining. Thank you so much.
We reviewed your request, and Holly presented the data on the measurements that were conducted by the Traffic Institute, and it didn't really meet the warrants for that we typically use for taking action on it.
Mm-hmm.
We certainly understand your concerns. Cut through traffic. Royal is a very long street.
Yeah.
But, it connects basically Main and Rochester Road, I think, or on the other side.
And Crooks.
Familiar with it. But unfortunately, we did vote on it, and we voted to deny your request.
Okay.
This does come in front of the City Commission meeting on October, I believe it's the 12th.
Okay.
You're encouraged to, no matter how we vote, they don't necessarily take our recommendations, because the City Commission has the final say.
Okay.
So you're encouraged to attend their public comment and make your point about why you think it needs to happen.
Okay. Can I ask you, just for a little clarification, what you said that it didn't quite meet the requirements? Can you share with me what the requirements are? Not that I would necessarily be able to read traffic data or anything.
Holly, do you want to take that?
So we measured the speed and the volume of traffic as well as the heavy vehicle traffic on the street.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we look at speeds, we look at the 85th percentile speed that vehicles are going. So that means 85% of the cars are going this speed or less. And then there's only 15% that are like the really bad people that are going higher.
Okay.
85th percentile is the standard that engineers use to say what a street is really doing, how it's acting.
Okay.
So the 85th percentile speed on this street was 27 miles per hour. And that's considered well within the range for a 25 mile per hour street. Generally, if you round it down or round it up to a certain speed limit, then it's appropriate. And then the volume that we measured here was 486 vehicles per day. And for residential streets, anywhere between 0 to 600 vehicles per day is considered low. It's not even medium or high range. So not really excessive traffic, and as well with the heavy trucks, they're really it was 1% of the traffic was heavy vehicles. So none of those point out to us that we need to make some changes out there.
Okay.
Really didn't point out any major issues. So.
Great. Yeah, that's good to know. Maybe it's just, being quarantined and noticing all the cars.
Sometimes perception when you're sitting, cars
Right.
a lot faster. The
Yeah.
25 car does look fast when you're just standing.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, thank you all so much for your time and for revisiting it for me. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for all your comments tonight.
Yeah, thanks. Take care.
You too. Okay, I think we're fresh on the start of 6J.
Yes, so 6J, we got a lot of feedback on this one, so I expect, I believe we may have some public comments to read at the end. I don't think anyone is calling in for this one though. So we received a request from Joe Carter of Merrill Avenue regarding the speeding and the parking concerns on Merrill. After notifying him that the no turn signs during certain hours and installation of speed bumps would require that he circulates a petition, he modified his request and just asked that we eliminate the no parking signs on the north side of Merrill between Woodward and Coolidge. He states that parking on both sides of Merrill will help to slow down the traffic and also provide a place for the apartment residents to park during snow plowing of their parking lots and also for apartment visitors. So Merrill, we've studied this many times in the past, but I'll recap. It's a 31-foot wide local road comprised of concrete pavement with integral curbing. We've studied it previously as part of a neighborhood speed and cut-through study throughout 2018 and 2019. The following data was obtained in 2018 and is expected to represent the current conditions out there. 85th percentile speed of 30 miles per hour, vehicles per day, about 2,100, and that is high for a local street. This is not considered a major road. The north side of Merrill is signed for no parking from Woodward to Coolidge. The city could not find a work order that documented the installation of the signs or why they were installed, but based on the sign inventory, they've been in place at least since 1997 or earlier. We talked with DPS about this, and they indicated that the signs are there because it greatly helps them with snow plowing of Merrill. They definitely had concerns with eliminating the signs, but were agreeable to maintaining just a couple of no parking areas at either end of this block as a place to kind of push the snow in the winter, but possibly allowing parking in between, kind of in the middle of Merrill. The fire department noted that Merrill is not an emergency route for ambulances and fire trucks, contrary to popular belief. They would only go to that street if they were actually responding to a call on the street. Studies show that on-street parking that reduces the effective width of the travel lanes is successful in reducing speeds on local streets. Merrill is a little bit wider than most of our local roads. It's a 30-foot wide pavement when you're going from face to face of curb. With two parking lanes, there would be approximately 16 feet of drivable area in between like two parked cars. So that would require drivers to kind of pull over and let other vehicles pass. You couldn't really pass very easily side by side. So allowing parking on both sides of the street, it's a very simple way to potentially lower the speeds and to decrease the traffic on Merrill because it might become more of a pain to use that road if you're using it for cut through. And it will slow down the traffic. These are two major issues that have been brought to us so many times. It's a simple solution. There have been complaints on nearby streets that the car rental businesses on Woodward use the local streets to park their rental vehicles. I believe Hertz is still out there. And so it's possible that more of those types of cars would start getting parked on Merrill. And residents might see that as a negative impact as well if we start allowing parking there. As the parking restrictions were not enacted by the neighborhood initially and would be less restrictive, we did not require a petition to be circulated for the request. However, the residents on the street were notified of the meeting tonight to make sure they knew that we were considering this in case there was any opposition. And it sounds like there is some opposition, so I look forward to kind of hearing what has.
I think we have another problem. I can't hear Holly.
I don't think any of us can. We're just waiting for him to come back on.
Yeah, her screen has frozen again. I have sent a request to our IT department, but they're not working right now. There she is. She's already back.
I'll be doing this from home next time. So I don't know if everyone got the recommendation. I think I got it in before I was cut off. When Jennifer joins, she can go ahead and read. I think we had maybe 6 public comments. You with us, Jen?
Sorry, I got disconnected again. It's real great. Time number 4. Yes, we have 6 comments that I received via email. I'll just go through each of them. The first comment is from Mary Ann Sherman, who resides on Merrill in the Royalwood Co-op, which is the large complex on the north side of the street. She states, I strongly oppose this idea for the following reasons. Number 1, most importantly, departure from the Royalwood apartment complex lots and businesses near Woodward would become dangerous due to parked vehicles obstructing the view of oncoming traffic. The traffic flies down the street and it is a high traffic cut through for Beaumont employees. The street is already hazardous enough with this, and obstructing our view when pulling onto Merrill from our parking lots would be extremely dangerous. Number 2, I have lived at Royalwood Cooperative Apartments for many years, and my visitors rarely have any trouble finding parking on the street as it is currently. Number 3, aesthetically, as a resident for many years on Merrill, I do not want parking in front of my apartment building on the north side. Thank you. Commenter number 2 is Marianne Wade, also from the Royalwood Co-op, north side of Merrill. She states, Merrill Avenue is a very high traffic street and it will be very difficult to pull out in front of oncoming traffic. There is a very high amount of traffic, and having more vehicles parked on the north side of Merrill would obstruct our vision and make it very difficult to see and safely pull out. There is plenty of parking on the south side of the street, and there is always a parking spot available when people need one. There is a high volume of traffic that travels on Merrill throughout the day, and currently we can travel east and westbound simultaneously. However, if there were parking on both sides of the street allowed, traffic would be very difficult because it would only allow for eastbound or westbound travel, whereas currently east and westbound travel can move at the same time. I know that you have done studies on this street and you know that there is a high volume of traffic. Traffic moves beyond the speed limit on Merrill Avenue. It will be dangerous to exit your vehicle if it is parked on the street, and it will be dangerous to exit any parking lots on Merrill Avenue if it is allowed on both sides. Thank you. The third comment is from Elaine Cummings, also from Royalwood Co-op. She states, Traffic Committee, I oppose the removal of the no parking signs on the north side of Merrill. Merrill is a heavily traveled residential street which isn't wide enough to accommodate east and westbound traffic along with cars parked on both sides of the street. It also presents a danger to cars exiting from residential driveways. I would prefer barriers at Woodward Avenue, as was provided during the test period in 2019, to eliminate westbound through traffic on Merrill Avenue. Thank you for your consideration. The fourth comment was received from, I just have a first name, Layla. It was a written comment that we received via mail. And she says, she's writing again with 3 requested suggestions to, number 1, install 3 or 4 speed bumps on Merrill Avenue by Coolidge. She thinks it's one of the last and best options, but it would slow speed down some, even with some traffic. Number 2, block off the U-turn by Woodward going onto Merrill. She thinks that is the best choice, but may not be possible. And number 3, she states, please keep the no parking on the north side of Merrill. The street is busy and congested enough, and this would add to the problem, and it would be harder to drive through and see oncoming traffic as a pedestrian. Please do not remove it. The street is not wide enough. The 5th comment is from Blaze Sherman, again, also from the Royalwood Co-op on the north side. Let's see, he says, I am sending this email because I would like my voice heard that I believe allowing parking on the north and south sides of Merrill Avenue would be a very bad idea. This street is a very high traffic street and traffic moves very quickly. It is used as a cut through for Belmont employees. It will be very difficult for drivers to see well enough when they are pulling out of the apartment parking lot or for homeowners to pull out of their driveways if there is parking allowed on both sides of the street. There are many senior citizens that live on this street, and there are children with special needs that live on this street as well. If parking is allowed on both sides of the street, it will be way too congested for traffic to move along the street. It will be certain that there will be many accidents on the street if parking is allowed on both sides, or worse, a child gets hurt. There is plenty of parking utilizing just the south side of Merrill Avenue. Thank you. And our sixth and final comment is from Cindy Harris. She did not leave an address. She says this is regarding the request to allow parking on the north side of Merrill between Woodward and Coolidge. In my opinion, there is way too much traffic westbound on Merrill for parking on the north side. Please do not allow this request. It would make it very hazardous getting out of driveways and for driving. Thank you for considering our opinions. And that is it.
Great, thank you, Jennifer. There's someone in the waiting room on this, or are we clear now? I think we're clear.
There is no one in the waiting room.
Great, thanks, Carol. Bringing it back to the committee side, I know we've talked about this street and the streets around it at previous meetings. My personal take on it is that with parking on both sides, you get a traffic calming situation by nature, to where you don't have two-way traffic going down the street. And it is a cut-through street and is very busy. I don't think parking removed or added is going to solve the street's problems that they mostly are concerned about. But going back and forth on that, I feel staff recommendation is a good idea just because parking helps with some traffic calming, and I think that's the best benefit here. But look for more comments or a motion.
I'd say just for me, based on the number of comments that we received on the vehemence in removing those no parking signs, I'd be inclined to not go with the staff recommendation and just to deny the request to remove the sign.
In this particular case, would it make sense to petition the removal of the sign just so we get a better sense of who agrees and who doesn't agree?
Yeah, we certainly could do that. This one's a little tricky because there's I don't know if they're apartments or condos, but there's a lot of residents there. And speaking with the requester, he originally wanted many other things to be done here, additional signage, preventing cars from basically turning. And he really didn't want to go through having to circulate a petition, especially with COVID and everything. He didn't want to take that on. So I said, well, we can at least look at the removal of the signs as an option. We'll just let everybody know that we're considering it. And if they want to come out and argue for it or against it, we'll listen to them. So I'll be honest, I'm surprised that we had so much feedback on this. I really didn't think people would mind too much. So it's worth listening to the residents because I know I'll be hearing about it one way or the other.
Was the opposition, it sounded like a lot of it came from the co-op. Was there any opposition from private residences there, or was it all limited to just the co-op?
All the comments that I received were from residents of the co-op on the north side. We did send letters to both the co-op and all the residents along the south side as well.
I think every person that we received commentary on that was complaining about this decision or this potential decision was actually voting for it without just not understanding the science, right? They wanted it to slow down, and that was their concern, but maybe not understanding that putting the parking on the street is going to do at least something to curb that traffic, make it not so easy to cut through.
That was kind of my feeling listening to the comments as well. I know this street has come up quite a bit on the short time I've been on the committee. And this seems like a pretty low-level intervention to try to get some relief to the residents here. So I'm inclined to go along with the staff recommendation.
Want to make that a motion?
Sure, I'll move to adopt the staff recommendation.
There we go. Do we have support?
I think Holly wanted to weigh in again.
Okay, go ahead, Holly.
Thank you. One option we may want to consider as amendment to the motion would be to install the no parking signs such that we ensure the site distance from the driveways to the co-op, that they can come out of those driveways and see where they're trying to see the oncoming traffic, basically, so that they can safely get out. It seemed like that was a concern that was raised by almost every one of them. So we could maybe
that 100-foot zone off Woodward a little bit longer, or I'm sorry, where's that co-op at? Yeah.
Coolidge would be, yeah, maybe just go all the way to the driveway for the no parking zone there. And I'll also note mid-block there's a hydrant, so that's already going to buy us some other open space there for jogging around traffic.
Sounds like a good suggestion. Do you want to include that amendment on your motion?
Sure, I'll adopt. I guess I'll make my motion to adopt the staff recommendation with the amendment that Holly suggests in lengthening that area of no parking off of the road ends there.
Great. And did we get support on that yet or not? Looking for support.
I'll support.
Support by Blaine. Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
I'm a nay.
Oh, we have one nay. Motion carries. I think we've gotten through to the end of our agenda. Is there anything else, Holly or Jennifer?
Nothing for me.
Good. I want to thank you all for attending. It's a long agenda. If anybody was watching online, that they can be let know that October 12th is the City Commission meeting for these items to come up, and that they should attend and speak during public comment during that time. I don't think I read the beginning of the meeting where I speak towards that, but we're just looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Tom. Is there support?
I'll support it.
We have a motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We're concluding here, Holly.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Jennifer, and everybody else. Appreciate it. Have a good evening.